Alright, you know me by now because we've had all of you before, but I'm not your buddy, and we will not pal around. We're going to work every day. You're going to go bell to bell in here every single day. There will be no leaving this class to go anywhere else for any reason. No phones. If you have a cell phone, turn off the sound and keep it under the desk, on the floor, in a book bag, something, but do not have it in your hands. If you have the phone out while we're doing stuff, then you lose it for 24 hours and you don't get it back. So where were we at before we had to shut the door? If it's Friday and you lose your phone for 24 hours, that means really 72 because you don't get it back till Monday. Do not have the phone out here until the last 5 minutes so you can videotape or record or photograph the homework. Assign seats. We already have that. And you must bring your own paper and pencils. If you don't get any from me. You have to borrow it from somebody else, and if they don't give you anything, then you miss out on that whole day. It's a zero. Alright, when you come in, you got to pick up some paper from that orange bucket back there. You will use these to write your answers and deliver them to my desk. There will be no textbooks for this class. You have to keep a 3-ring binder. You have 8 weeks to get one, but it would be to your advantage to have one now, as soon as possible, because you have to keep everything in it. No exceptions. It's checked once in 9 weeks, and it's worth 1,000 points. Tests are 1,000 points, and you'll have about one. You'll do one a week, maybe one every 2 weeks. You only get one chance to take it. There are no do-overs. And if you miss a test or a quiz because you're absent, you have to take it during 6th period. You can't do it in here. You got to stay up to date with what we're doing in here. And you got to give me 1 day notice before you take a makeup test. The makeup test will be harder and shorter than the regular one. All of this is recorded as it is now, and it goes to YouTube so you can watch it when you're absent. If you're absent on a given day, the video will be up by 2 p.m. so you can watch it. I've already loaded up the first 5 classes. I'll show you where to go later on. I'm not interested in personal stuff. We're going to do ACT math only. All right, here we go. Warm-up quiz. You work the problem. Bring me the answer only. You must have notebook paper out now so that you can show your work on the notebook paper. Only bring me the answer, written largely with your last name on it. If the answer to a problem is 5, don't write 5 in the upper left-hand corner of the paper that small. This is your sheet of paper, the little tiny one. Write 5, and then your last name at the bottom, like this, as you go through. Actually, you only have to put your last name on it whenever you leave it on the table. If you're walking by, you don't need to, because I already know everybody in here. There's your first one. Work it, walk by through here, and show me what answer you have. For this problem, x squared, you're putting in a 3, so it's 3 squared minus a negative 2 for the y. That's a double negative. 9 plus 2 should be 11. Bring this one up. Everybody had the right answer, which is 6. Try this one. Everybody had the right answer, which is 8. Number 4. Alright, you got to dump in negative 1 for x, and then minus y. Y is a negative 2. And then plus 3 times x, x is a negative 1, and minus 2 times y, y is a negative 2. Negative 1, this will be a double negative, so it's plus 2. That's minus 3, double negative, plus 4. Negative 1 plus 2 is 1, and then minus 3 is going to be a negative 2, plus 4 is a positive 2. Last one, number 5. Alright, music, did you do a negative, well actually it's 4 to start with, 4 times a negative 1 at the beginning?
Yes.
And then when you squared x, which is negative 1, did you get a positive 1?
I don't know, I just
Alright, so we should have x squared. That if you square that, you get a 1, and then multiply it by y, which is 4, and then minus 4. So you should have had a negative 4 plus 4, which is 0, and then minus 4 would give you a negative 4. Alright, pick a number from 1 to 5 and drop it off up here with your name on it. The winning number today is 2. Homework is 50 points. It's graded on effort, just like it was before when you guys were in here. Right answers are extra credit. So you could get 50 points if you show all your work on all the problems, and if you get all 10 of them right, then it could be 60 out of 50. Extra credit. Alright, now homework answers, of course we have none to go through because you didn't have homework before today. But when you do, you'll bring your homework up, I'll check it to see if you did all the work, and then I'll show you the answers, and you can figure out how many you had right, and I'll show them on the screen here. But there's nothing to show today. Alright, today's objective, I went through a practice ACT test, and I'm going to go straight down through that first test with you, and once we finished everything from that test, I'll give you that test. It's not going to be the exact same problems, but it'll be everything we covered. And then we're going to see what your score is after that ACT test, which should be before the end of this first 9 weeks. And then we'll go through and do the same thing with another practice test. We'll teach some more, you'll do some more homework, then we'll take another test and see how much more you improved. So we're going to do that 4 times over the year. And but you'll have tests in between there, smaller ones. Today you have to do create expressions and evaluate expressions. So here's the first example. The weekly fee for staying at the Pleasant Lake campground is $35 per vehicle and $20 per person. Last year, weekly fees were paid for X vehicles, so we don't know how many, and Y persons, we don't know how many people. What expression gives the total amount in dollars collected for weekly fees last year? So, on the ACT test, you would have multiple choice. On these, we're not going to give you multiple choice. You're going to have to work it and come up with the right answer. That way, when you go to actually take an ACT test, it'll be so much easier because you'll have 4 answers to choose from. Here, if you do it more difficult here, it's going to be much easier when you get to the real thing. So, we need an expression that represents the weekly fees paid at that campground. Now the problem says, what's the total amount in dollars collected for weekly fees last year? Now that's word for word from what the problem was on the practice test. What time period are we talking about? Yeah, it says collected for weekly fees last year. So are we looking at an expression that's going to represent 1 week, or is it going to represent 1 year? You think it's 1 year? Well, let's start with the week first. All right? Let's say that we have, and we'll do this, we'll just pick numbers at random. I'll say that we had 12 vehicles. So if we had 12 vehicles, how would I find out how much money was collected for vehicles? What would I do with that 12?
Put it in times 35.
Yeah, I would times it by 35. And then let's say we had 50 people. How would I find out how much money was collected from the people?
Multiply it by 20.
Yeah, multiply it by 20. So you have, that's your amount for cars and that's your amount for people. We had this many cars and this many people. I just made these numbers up out of thin air. All right. So now in the problem it says X vehicles and Y people. So instead of using actual numbers, we're going to use variables. So instead of multiplying 35 by some random number 12, what am I really multiplying 35 by? X, yes, 35X. And then what am I multiplying 20 by? Y. So what do I do with 35X and 20Y?
Plus, or add
Yeah, add them together. Now that is for what time period?
last week
It's for 1 week.
You take that and you put parentheses around it and put 52 in front of it.
Yeah, so I would do that, and I would put this in front of it if I were looking for the entire year. So on an actual test, you would have your choices A, B, C, D, and if you saw 35x plus 20y and no other 52 expression with a 52 in it, then this is going to be your answer. If you did not see this and you saw one that was 52 times the quantity 35x plus 20y, then this would be your answer. It's because of the way the problem is worded. So it does say what expression gives the total amount in dollars collected for weekly fees last year. Is the word last, where else is last year mentioned in the problem?
Last year, weekly fees were paid.
Yeah, so last year weekly fees were paid for that many people. So it's talking about the entire year, it looks like. But if they worded the problem poorly, chances are they're still not going to have this and this in the answer bank at the same time. So it depends. But as we do these in class, we will assume it's 52 weeks for a year. All right. Same type of problem, just different numbers. What would be the expression I need for this?
C is 32x plus 40y.
Yep, that's it. That's all there is to it. Bring this up with your name on it, but only bring the expression. Don't bring anything else. The answer for this should be 16x plus 12y in parentheses and then a 52 out to the left. You should have, for this problem, 52 times the quantity of 28x plus 41y. Close the quantity. Bring these up, just walk by with them. To solve this equation, when you have x's on both sides, you're just shuffling things around. You want x's on this side and constants on that side. Constants are numbers with no variable. You already have an 8x on this side, so it doesn't have to move. But this must go over to that side. If you cross this equal sign, you change the operation in front of it. This 12 is where it's supposed to be. It's a constant. But this must go over. And if you cross the equal sign, you change the operation in front of it. So 8x minus 6x is 2x, and 12 plus 2 is 14. Divide 14 by 2, and you come up with 7. All right. 9 stays, but this goes with it. This is a plus 6x, even though it isn't written. So on this side, it's minus 6x. This stays. That's a negative 15, but this moves and becomes minus 6. 3x equals negative 21. X is negative 7. Everybody had the right answer for that one, which is 4. Here's the next type of problem you're going to do today. If r equals 2, b equals negative 3, and g equals 6, what does the quantity of r plus b minus g, close the quantity, times the quantity of b plus g, close the quantity, equal? So all you have to do is plug in all of the numbers. R is 2, b is negative 3, and g is 6. So on your first quantity here, r is 2, plus b, which is negative 3, and then minus g, that's 6. and then go to the next quantity. B is 6, and plus G, well, not B is not 6, B is negative 3, there we go, and plus G is 6. So we have R, 2, B, negative 3, and G, 6, and then over here we have B is negative 3, and G is 6. So go back through and do them one quantity at a time. 2 plus a negative 3 is what?
Negative 6.
Negative 6. What's 2 plus a negative 3?
Negative 1. I multiply.
He multiplied. Oh my gosh. Negative 1. Alright. And then what's negative 1 minus 6?
Negative 7.
Negative 7. Okay. Then the other quantity, you have a negative 3 plus 6. What is that?
Negative 3. Positive 3.
Positive 3,
I have
yes.
that on my paper.
So now you just multiply them together. Negative 7 times 3 is
Negative 21.
negative 21. Oh my gosh, it comes out to be a negative 6 plus 10, and then minus a negative 3. And then you'll have negative 3 minus 10 and minus 6. Really it's plus a negative 6, but minus 6 is the same thing. So you'll come up with this to be 4 plus 7 is 11.
4, you mean? No, 4 plus 3 is 7.
Yeah, 4 plus
You gotta
3
read
is...
yourself.
my fault. 4 plus 3 is 7, you're right. We'll just scratch all of that out and put 7. There we go. Much neater. And negative 3 minus 10 is a negative 13. Minus 6 is a negative 19. So if you multiply those together, you should come out with a negative 133. Drop this off up here when you get an answer. You should have R, which is negative 2, minus B, that's a 3, and then plus G, that's 7. B is 3, minus G, that's a 7. Did you have it set up right? Did you write all that in the way it is on the screen? Okay. So negative 2 minus 3 is going to be a negative 5. And I put that in parentheses for some strange reason. And then 3 minus 7 is a negative 4. So negative 5 plus 7 is a positive 2 times a negative 4. That will be negative 8. Don't forget, homework is graded based on effort. Now, the word problems that we did today don't require a lot of work. It's just a matter of looking at it and making the expression. But the evaluation problems do require a lot of work. So if you show all the work that is necessary, emphasis on necessary. If you don't think 5 steps are necessary, and you know really they are, but you're hoping to just get away with it, it's not going to work. You got to have all the work shown step by step. This is the homework for tonight. Now you have options just like you did before. You can take a picture of it with your phone now. You can get the phone out and take a picture. Or you can get it off of skinnermoney.com along with the video if you want to go back and watch anything that you may not have understood.